I'd like to call the April 25th, 2016 Town Council meeting to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, the prayer, and a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag. Mrs. Panos, the prayer, please.
O Lord, bless thy servants in the ministry of public affairs who serve thee in this chamber. Give them quiet minds and hearts that they may hear thy voice. Help them to know when to speak, when to be silent. Give them strength to oppose the wrong and uphold the right, and grant that they have a good conscience and soul at peace with thee and with one another. Amen.
As customary in this chambers, we always offer a moment of silence to honor those men and women that are serving abroad and at home, protecting our freedoms, our first responders, and for those that are giving the ultimate sacrifice. Moment of silence, please. Thank you. Be seated. Yep.
This meeting is being held in conformance with the Open Public Meetings Act. Notice has been given to the newspaper, and notice of the meeting has been posted in public places. Next open public meeting of the Township Council will be held on Monday, May 9th, 2016, at 7:30 p.m. Dr. Greenberg.
Here.
Mr. Green.
Here.
Mr. Mollis.
Here.
Mrs. Panos.
Here.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Here.
Mrs. Sohor.
Here.
Mrs. Walker.
Here.
President Cahill.
Here.
8 present.
Before we get into the meeting, I just want to make one comment. During the last meeting, when we were breaking from the regular session, going to executive session, I mumbled something under my breath, and apparently it was picked up on on the tape. It's synonymous with a donkey, and I shouldn't have said it. It was wrong, it was unprofessional, and it will not happen again, so I will curb my tongue. I apologize for that. First item on the agenda is mayoral appointments, Parking and Transportation Advisory Committee. Mr. Mayor?
Yes, Council, thank you. I believe you have a resume I submitted for a mayoral appointment to the Parking and Transportation Advisory Committee. I would ask that the Council approve Carmela Cortez.
Is it with council consent, or is it just a mayoral appointment?
On the agenda, so
I think it's a mayoral appointment, I believe. I don't think you need council consent on
okay,
that.
I sent the letter appointing
Yeah.
Ms. Cortez to the Transportation Committee.
Yep,
Thank you.
you're welcome.
Move it.
No, we don't need a motion on that. It's a mayoral appointment. We have two proclamations. The first one is recognizing April 2nd, 2016 as World Autism Awareness Day, and April 2016 as Autism Awareness Month. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you again. Good evening, everyone. I will read a proclamation. Autism is a pervasive development disorder affecting the social, communication, and behavioral skills of those affected by it. As more health professionals become proficient in diagnosing autism, more children are being diagnosed on the autism spectrum, resulting in rates as high as 1 in 68 children nationally and 1 in 45 in New Jersey. While there is no cure for autism, it is well documented that if individuals with autism receive early and intensive treatment throughout their lives, they lead significantly improved lives. Individuals with autism often require a lifetime of specialized and community support services to ensure the health and safety and to support families' resilience as they manage the psychological and financial burdens autism can present. Old Bridge Township is honored to take part in the annual observance of Autism Awareness Month and World Autism Awareness Day in the hope that it will lead to a better understanding of the disorder. And therefore, I, Owen Henry, Mayor of Old Bridge Township, the Township Council, Middlesex County, State of New Jersey, and on behalf of the people of Old Bridge Township, do hereby proclaim April 2nd, 2016 as World Autism Awareness Day and Autism Awareness Month. Thank you, everyone. Just as a side note, our Camp Robin program here in town deals with our autistic children, not only here in Old Bridge, but our surrounding communities. So I want to thank the community of Old Bridge for really being on the front line when it comes to autism. So thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The second proclamation is recognizing May 1st, 2016 to May 7th, 2016 as National Small Business Week.
America's progress has been driven by pioneers who think big, take risk, and work hard. From the storefront shops that anchor Main Street to the high-tech startups that keep America on the cutting edge, small businesses are the backbone of our economy and the cornerstone of our nation's promise. Small business owners and the Main Street businesses have energy and passion for what they do. When we support small business, jobs are created and local communities preserve their unique culture. Because this country's 28 million small businesses create nearly 2 out of 3 jobs in our economy, we cannot resolve ourselves to create the jobs and spur economic growth in America without discussing ways to support our entrepreneurs. The President of the United States has proclaimed National Small Business Week every year since 1963 to highlight the programs and services available to entrepreneurs throughout the U.S., Small Business Administration, and other government agencies. Old Bridge Township supports and joins this national effort to help America's small businesses do what they do best: grow their business, create jobs, and ensure that our communities remain as vibrant tomorrow as they are today. Now, therefore, I, Owen Henry, Mayor of Old Bridge, along with the Township Council, Middlesex County, State of New Jersey, and on behalf of the people of Old Bridge, do hereby proclaim May 1st through May 7th as 2016 as National Small Business Week. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you.
Okay, we're going to get into the bill list now. Mr. Rosencrantz.
Sure. Bill list for combined meeting, April 25th, 2016. Accounts payable, April 25th, 2016, $629,285.47.
Have a motion, please. Moved by Mr. Green. Second by Mr. Mollis. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing and hearing none, roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis? Yes. Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohor? Yes. Mrs. Walker?
yes,
President Cahill?
Yes.
8 yes.
Payroll, April 15th, 2016, $854,760.04.
Have a motion, please. Moved by Mr. Green.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Panos. Any questions, comments, concerns? Seeing and hearing none, roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green? Yes. Mr. Mollis? Yes. Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohor? Yes. Mrs. Walker?
yes,
President Cahill?
Yes.
8 yes.
Payroll overtime, April 15th, 2016, $34,695.72.
Have a motion, please. Moved by Mr. Green, second by Mrs. Panos. Mr. Marion, if you could do the breakout.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. The payroll as of April 15, 2016, is indicated by Councilmember Rosencrantz, $34,695.72. If you take a look in your packages, you're going to see pretty much normal overtime expenses. You're going to see an uptick in dispatcher overtime in the amount of $3,529.64. There was dispatcher 911 training, as well as a couple of grants in there for recycling and DUI. In regards to the police department, the payroll pay period ending 4/15/16 represents 365 man and woman hours in our police department for a total of $24,630.06. Sworn officer, out of that $24,630.06, $21,142 is for sworn sworn officers. And that, if you break out the grants in the amount of $741.90, and ETO, which is contractual, $1,303.23, your total sworn officer overtime for this pay period, $19,055.29. Again, as I mentioned before, I know last meeting there was additional investigations for this pay period, and we still have 1 patrol officer out on medical.
Okay. Any questions, Mr. Marion, on the overtime? Seeing and hearing none, roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg?
yes,
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis? Yes. Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohor?
yes,
Mrs. Walker?
yes,
And President Cahill?
Yes.
That concludes the bill list.
Thank you, Mr. Rosencrantz. Moving on to public hearings. Public hearings and ordinances for second reading. H1, Release Reduction Performance Guarantee, Ronald and Kim Butler, Lennar Carriage Park at Old Bridge, application number 19-10Z, bond number 929-561-668. Want to sit down or you want to stand?
Either or,
Okay.
whichever you prefer.
So why don't you introduce yourself?
Sure.
and-
My name is Michael Butler. I'm the attorney for the applicant. My last name is spelled Butler.
Okay, great.
Good evening. Jim Winkowski from CME Associates, consulting engineer for the township.
Great. Jim, why don't you start?
The applicant or developer has requested release of their performance guarantee. This is for the Carriage Park development on Matchaponix Road. This is their third appearance. They had 2 previous reductions. Now they're asking for release. We did a report dated April 7th, 2016. Our findings based on the request for release is that all the work has been satisfactorily completed. We completed all our inspections, testing, and whatnot. They currently have a performance bond in the amount of $685,371.60. We are recommending release subject to posting of a 2-year maintenance guarantee in the amount of $205,819.50.
Is this acceptable to the applicant?
Yes, it is, Council President.
Before I go to the council, I'll go to the public. Anybody from the public want to be heard in this particular? Yes, sir. Yes, please. Just name and address, please.
Sure. My name is Anthony DeLello. I'm the president of the Carriage Park at Old Bridge Homeowners Association, and my address is 27 Carriage Court.
Great, thank you.
I have no specific objection to Lennar being released from this bond, but I would like to bring one item of concern to the council's attention, and I believe some council members may be familiar with this. I think Councilwoman Sohar was out to our block and spoke to one of the homeowners about this. Specifically, it's about access for school buses to our community, which currently there is none. And it's creating a kind of dangerous situation because there's a lot of children in that community. And right now, they're being forced to kind of go onto Matchaponix Road, all the way over to Arizona Avenue, where there's another big development that predated Carriage Park. But in inclement weather, in darkness, and it's dangerous. And I think this past winter, one mother with 2 children has already slipped and fallen. For some reason, there's an issue with school buses coming down Carriage Court. I'm not really sure why, because it's a very wide block, and there's a big cul-de-sac at the end. More than enough room for school buses to turn around, and if they need to, fire trucks come there. I mean, we get the Santa Claus every December, and the fire truck comes in and turns around and goes out again. So I really don't know why this is such an issue, but right now, a lot of small children are living on that block that just don't have easy access to school buses, and this is probably the largest concern that we as the homeowners have in that development. And I'm just would really appreciate if the council could. I don't know if this is a Board of Education matter, or if there's something the council could do, but that's our concern.
Yeah, so 2 things. I don't think your issue in particular affects this bond, right? So there's 2 different,
That's likely true, and I
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
that.
So I just wanted to be clear about that. The second thing is the buses, the transportation is actually handled by the Board of Ed.
Okay.
Now, we could always reach out to the Board. Have you reached out to the Board of Ed yet? Have you talked to anybody
I think
over
our
there?
management community, yeah, I mean, several people in our management community have spoken to
Okay.
several other people. People have been contacted, so it's always like, well, maybe we could do this, maybe we could do that, maybe we should try talking to the council. It seems to just be circular, and really nothing's been done now, and its community's been open for at least 1.5 years now. So, we're finished with this school year, but it would be great if something could be done by the beginning of the next school year.
Yeah.
And again, if the council could do anything to make that.
Well, again, it's out of our jurisdiction.
I understand.
But I'd be more than willing to, and I don't know if anybody in the council's reached out to the Board of Ed to discuss this, but I'd be willing to reach out to the Board of Ed and bring up your concern. But again, it's kind of out of our jurisdiction, if you will.
Okay, fair enough.
yeah.
I appreciate that.
This is your water.
My name is Lucille Panos. I am the councilwoman in your ward. I did go down there. I spoke to
I'm
some
sorry,
residents.
right, you're the councilwoman I meant. I apologize.
Right, it wasn't her. It was
Absolutely.
me.
Yes.
And I did write a letter to the superintendent. I spoke to the police chief. I guess they're just checking things out, how big the cul-de-sac is. Now, I'm quite aware of the problem going down. Is it Kasich also?
Carriage, it's called.
Carriage and down to Matchaponix with no sidewalks.
Right, no
There's
sidewalks.
There's over 20-something houses that the kids have to walk down.
But, 35 houses in our community approximately, yes, and it's.
And so you have a couple of neighbors. There's even an emergency exit that I explored to see if that could be, but the man who lives next door said, no, everybody's going to be cutting through that. So, what? It is in the process. I went down, I spoke to some people. As I said, I sent a letter to the superintendent and mentioned it to the police chief. So give another week or so and let everybody get their ducks in order. And I will certainly give you my number, or you could call the mayor's office anytime, I'm sure, also. I do have the number of 2 residents over there, so.
Okay.
I'll get
Peter, what was one, Peter, I think his name is?
He's an engineer, actually,
Yes,
Peter.
yeah,
Yes,
that-
okay.
that's
So
right.
him and Katie Calabrese.
Okay.
So they've been on this, and I've been there with them, so now I get to meet you, too. So
Okay, well,
I'll get back to both of them and you if you leave me your number.
thank you, Councilwoman, I appreciate it, and thank you, council, for your time.
Very welcome, thank you. Anybody else want to be heard on H1 from the
Council
public?
President, I'd just like to make
Yes,
a
sir.
comment. My
Mr. Mayor.
office is aware of the situation. I have contacted the Transportation Director
Great.
and the Superintendent of Schools.
Great.
They have criteria that there's certain laws they must abide by, and they've given me the reasons why the condition exists today. I've impressed upon them that they try to correct it somehow. I will also talk to the township engineers if we have to get sidewalks somehow along Matchaponix Road to take care of it, because it's not right that the kids are in the middle of the street.
Right.
I know there's some issues in the wintertime with not shoveling the sidewalks on Carriage Court, so that's an issue that we have there. But we are aware of it, and as you said, we don't dictate where the bus stops and where the buses go. That's a Board of Education, and I know they have certain laws that they must follow when it comes to courts,
Right.
sending school buses down courts, and I believe there's a safety issue with the potential of a bus having to back up with snow, with cars parked, and so they're not doing it just because they don't want to do it. But we're going to see if we can come up with a viable alternative.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you, Mr. Mayor. Anybody else from the public before, on H1? On the carriage, yeah, okay, please. Just name and address, please, for the record.
Sylvester from 7 Carriage Court.
Great.
I'm just concerned about, I have 2 cracks on the foundation wall. They are still working on my list, but I don't know how this is going to impact in my repair work or something like that.
Go ahead.
Yeah, your home foundation?
Yes.
Yeah, that's that's not part of this bond. The bond is for like the public and street improvements.
Right.
Typically, the house foundations and stuff are covered under the homeowner's warranty. Did you put a claim into your warranty service? sir?
Yeah, we provide the list, and they contacted us, but it's been already 2 months now.
Yeah,
No
unfortunately, I
response
don't think
back.
there's anything we could do
Right.
if we wanted to, unfortunately. To,
Yeah, unfortunately, it's not part of this particular bond.
Yeah, just want to know about it,
Yeah.
that's all.
room, maybe you want to talk to him, and we can put you in touch with him. You can try to persuade
Okay.
him to we can help you.
Is he in the room? Okay.
Oh, there you
Yeah.
go. Yeah, found him.
Could you maybe talk to this gentleman about? Great,
All right,
thank you,
thank you.
appreciate it. On H1? Yep.
My name's John Murphy, M4B, Pine Boulevard. Are you planning on releasing his bond tonight? Is that what they're voting on?
Yeah, reducing it, yeah.
Okay,
Well, the reduction, right.
well, I can't believe you can sit there and say you have nothing to do with it. I don't understand the problem, but he says he heard some of the problems, and Councilman Pounds has been there, and they all seem to think there's a problem. Don't you think before anything is released, you should hear, I live in development similar, and there was a problem with the street. Maybe there is a problem that was created by this Carriage Court. I mean, you can't sit there and say you have nothing to do with it. You may. It may be part of it.
So, wait, time out. The bus issue you're talking about?
Well, yeah, maybe the buses can't get down here for a certain reason.
That has nothing to do with this particular, the bus situation is different. It has nothing to do with this particular bond, okay? We don't dictate how the routes and the stops that the buses take with the Board of Ed, okay? So this bond has nothing to do with that. It's more of a coordination with the Board of Ed.
Is it a
And as the
P-
mayor said, that maybe there's some alternatives. Maybe we can get, sidewalks put in to help the situation. But we're talking about this particular bond, and the two are not related. So I understand it's a problem. I'm not minimizing what the gentleman said. Clearly, it's a concern, but it doesn't relate to this particular bond.
Is it a PUD? Like, is it like, oh, it's not. So then that was my question. So the streets are all, like, they're not getting a break on the width of the streets and stuff.
Yeah, I'm Jim going to talk to it, but it's a 34-house subdivision.
Right, I know
The
that.
the street itself is going to come back to the township. It's going to be a public right-of-way. The width of the street exceeds RSI, Residential Site Improvement Standards. It's more than, was it 35-foot?
It's up there. I forget. I don't have the exact number. But I know it's
How
greater
wide
than
a car
30.
path? All right, so it's greater than 30.
They
it's great-
purposely made it wider just in case cars wanted to
Right,
park.
so it's
on it.
greater than 30 feet, which is more
Right, no,
typical to the
that's
right.
right.
the
That's
width,
what, that's what I didn't know
Yeah.
what it
So,
was.
I mean, I think the point the Council President was making is that this bond relates to them, the developer building those improvements, the road, there's basins, those types of improvement structures. And to the extent that they've been built in accordance with the specifications of the approval, engineer does his investigation, does an inspection, and he didn't raise any issues.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public want to be heard on H1? Okay, I'll close the public portion. We'll go to council. Dr. Greenberg?
Yes, I would just like to say that a lot of these problems can be addressed in planning. And I sat on the planning board for 6 years, and when these developments come in, to go look at the site and understand the site, that's where the sidewalks should have been decided a long time ago to be put in when this application was in front of the planning board. And so now we're going backwards, and that's a little frustrating for the people that already live there and for the safety issues. So I hope, that there's a way to address it, so it gets solved, so for the safety of the residents there. Thank you.
Council comments on H1. Mr. Rosencrantz?
Sure. Dr. Greenberg brings up a very good point about in the planning phase of this development. Perhaps now the developer would like to entertain additional funds for sidewalks?
Yep, please.
And then along their frontage on Matchaponix Road.
Any other comments on
their frontage? Yeah.
Green? Comments?
So one question. If there are sidewalks, why are the kids walking in the street?
It sounds like the.
To get to
I
the
don't-
bus stop.
They must, it sounds like they're sending them down to Arizona when, I don't know, if their policy, maybe it's too close of street.
So we could change the bus stop.
By law, however, the Board of Ed sets up the bus stops, but I think it's a location, not a infrastructure.
Right, I think that's what Councilman Pano was looking into, was if there could be a bus stop put into the area.
Or a bus stop at Carriage and Matchaponix. I mean, that seems most reasonable rather than building all this also sidewalk.
Yeah, that makes the most sense, Carriage and Match.
I think that was the intent of the zoning board too. That's what everybody thought, that's where the most reasonable and likely bus stop would be, I don't know, instead of sending them all down the street.
Mrs.
Arizona's
Walker?
not that close.
Yeah, I agree with Dr. Greenberg. This has to be caught at the planning part because by law, school buses are not allowed to go down a cul-de-sac in case there are cars parked or there's a truck and they have to back. They're not allowed to back up. So even though the Board Ed might want the buses to go there, they cannot by law.
I understand, but that's why they were required to put sidewalks in on both sides of the street, all the way up to Matchaponix
I mean, that-
and
yeah.
along their frontage. I mean, there's not
And when the
much more we
development's
can-
being developed, it should be considered to make it wider. That's the problem we're having now, even with plowing.
So it seems like
It exceeds it, doesn't it?
So it seems like a simple remedy, just have the bus stop, pick it up at Matchaponix and the main road
Councilman
there.
Greenberg, the problem is that's right on the borderline of Old Bridge and Monroe. So if the bus was to continue up Matchaponix, pick students up at Carriage, it would have to continue into Monroe quite a distance in order to make a U-turn to come back into Old Bridge and down to Arizona. Arizona is the only street where they can make that right and continue their route through Old Bridge. So going up that extra bit on Matchaponix, now the bus is heading in the wrong direction. And there's no way for it to loop back without going, because it's a very,
Leaving
Matchaponix
town.
Road it goes into another town. There's no place for the bus to turn around.
Any other comments on H1? Okay, close the council comments. Do we have a motion on this?
Oh, if I could, Mr.
Yes,
President?
please, Mr.
Just want to
Rizzo.
note that there's going to be certain improvements that I guess will be dedicated to the homeowner association, Mr. Butler. There's a basin, some open space, the access road. Has there been a meeting with the homeowner association with that transition? Has that property been? All right. Has it been dedicated to them yet by deed? That's all been accomplished? Are you the head of the homeowner association?
I am, but I think Mr. Wilcox often deals with our management company.
Okay, so that's all occurred, the transitions occurred? Yes, all right. Just want to make sure that was completed, thank you.
Okay. All right, can I have a motion, please?
I'll move it.
Moved by Mr. Green,
Second,
second by Mrs. Panos. Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohar? Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes,
Eight yes.
thank you.
Thank you.
You too. Ordinances for second reading, ordinance number 1, Number 2016-09, ordinance fixing the salaries of certain officers and employees of the Township of Old Bridge for calendar year 2016. Can I have a motion, please?
I'm going to move it.
Mr. Rosencrantz made a motion. Can I have a second?
I'll second it.
Second by Mr. Green. Before we go to council, I'll go to public. Anybody want to be heard on second reading, ordinance number 1? I'll close the public portion. Council, comments, questions, concerns? None? Okay, close the council piece of that. Pardon me. Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Mr. Mollis.
Yes.
Mrs. Panos.
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz.
Yes.
Mrs. Silver. Mrs. Walker.
Yes.
And President Cahill.
Yes.
8 yes.
Pardon me. Preliminary public comments to council subject to the following conditions and restrictions. 1, during the preliminary public portion of the meeting, any person may address the Township Council on one subject for a maximum period of 5 minutes. 2, any such person desiring to speak during the preliminary public portion shall first sign a list maintained by the Township Clerk for such purpose. 3, comments during the preliminary public portion of the meeting shall not encompass second reading ordinances or any other matter for which comment or public hearing is to occur at the meeting. Anybody on the list?
Gerald Riccardi.
Jerry Riccardi? Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Jerry Riccardi, Jersey Central Power and Light Company. Thank you, Council President Cahill. Thank you, Mayor Henry. Thank you to the entire governing body of Old Bridge for allowing me to speak this evening. The reason I'm here tonight is to talk about a power outage we had just this past Friday night that extended through most of the day on Saturday for a portion of your residents. What I'd like to explain about the outage is as following. We had a pole that failed. This was a transmission pole. And the transmission pole, it was on a right angle, so I had wires coming in this way to the pole and then wires going out that way to the pole. The pole was guyed back in 2 separate directions, but the pole failed and came down at about 8:30 p.m. on Friday night. This pole was a transmission pole. So what that means is transmission feeds substations, which provide the power to many, many residents. About 10,000 people were initially affected by this transmission outage that caused when this pole fell down. We were when I say immediately, we were able to reroute the power, so we were able to restore power to approximately 9,000 customers within about 45 minutes. The remaining 1,070 customers were 803 customers from the Sarahwood substation and 278 customers from the Browntown substation. Now, all of our substations have dual feeds, okay? So you ask, how come when we lost the Sarahwood substation, why didn't it feed from the opposite direction and those 803 customers be restored automatically? Normally that would happen, but you know in the past I've been here talking to you about a deep run substation improvement project. That's the $7 million we're putting into another substation in Old Bridge Township that's going to add a lot more flexibility and redundancy. Well, we have some of those transmission lines out of service right now while they are rewired at the substation site. So because our transmission power lines were out of their normal configuration, they've been that way for about 5-6 weeks right now. They'll be that way until approximately the 1st of June, okay, while we do this work at the substation. That's why we weren't immediately able to backfeed those 803 customers. Line crews worked. We had 6 people there throughout the night. We changed them out after they got to the required hours. We had another 6 people came in. They worked through the night. The additional 278 customers were fed from the Browntown substation on wire that I brought in a sample here today. This is called spacer cable. Okay, it is shielded conductor. Okay, it is stranded aluminum inside. I just brought this in case people wanted to take a close look at what our infrastructure is. This also came down because it was also on the pole that failed over the weekend. That additional work on that spacer cable took from around 1:30 in the afternoon when we restored the transmission, and that took until about 9:30 p.m. Saturday night to restore those final 278 customers. The first question I asked today was, well, we do pole inspections, okay? Every utility does pole inspections. We follow a specified criteria. It's every 10 years we inspect our poles. When was this pole last inspected? Okay? It was 2006. We inspect our transmission poles in the summertime because our transmission crews do not generally take transmission lines out in the summer because that's the highest usage of power. So would we have caught this pole when we inspected it this summer? I would think so. Okay, when it was inspected in 2006, it did not show that it had any structural deficiencies. So I just, you know what, I'm up front. I'm here to answer any additional questions you have. There were like 4 council members that, oh my gosh, I think it was every 4 hours, I was speaking to them, giving them updates, spoke quite often with your mayor and your business administrator, also telling what was going on with the residents in Old Bridge, and also Tom Garrity, your OEM coordinator.
Right.
So I'd be glad to answer any questions that the council
Yeah.
might have.
Anybody have any questions for Mr. Riccardi? Mr. Green, and then we'll go to Mr. Solar.
Yeah, I just want to thank Mr. Riccardi for updating me a number of times during the whole blackout. I was one of the ones that was out from, was it 8 o'clock or 9 o'clock Friday night till about 1:30 on Saturday. But you called me multiple times just to give me an up-to-date and let me know where you stood as far as getting our electricity back, and I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Councilman Green.
Mrs. Solar had a hand up?
Yeah, the same thing. Thank you so much, Mr. Riccardi. I was one of those people that you were constantly and back and forth, but it's very appreciated because sometimes, when the residents start calling you, you just feel the need to be able to give them some information and, some direction. So thank you again. That was very, very kind of you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Thank you, Councilman Solar.
Anybody else?
Councilman Solar.
Talk to Jerry?
Yeah, we
Dr.
talked
Greenberg?
multiple times, and I appreciate the updates also, because I was getting a lot of calls. So with inspections every 10 years, so is that by town? How do you do that?
We have so many different transmission lines, and even distribution poles. They're all inspected, okay? Is it by towns? No, it's by substation circuit. So some substations go through multiple towns, okay? So it goes by a substation. I mean, I'm not in charge of the inspection, so I can't tell you exactly how it's done, but it's done by substation.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Anybody else for Mr. Riccardi? Mr. Rosencrantz?
Just let me thank you, Jerry, also for your response. And we texted, we didn't call, but we texted. So thank you for responding very urgently, too, quickly.
Thank you. Thank you.
Anybody else? I'll just close, Jerry, thank you. You're a great partner, Old Bridge. Unfortunately, things like this happen, and it's unfortunate that people lost power, but, we know we have a friend in J.C. Pinnell, and you do your best with your team to get things back to normal, so we appreciate that. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Council President. And if any members of the public have any questions for me, I'll stand outside in the hallway for like
Perfect.
5 minutes and, answer any questions they might
Great.
have.
Thank you. I appreciate
Good night.
that.
Thank you, everyone.
Council President, Mr. Riccardi will be
Yes.
the one holding that transformer thing.
Yeah, I told him, I said, I know what your problem was, that you're missing a piece. so. Thank you, Mr. Riccardi.
Leave the transformer.
Next person on the list,
Richard Sarno?
Mr. Sarno?
Okay, good evening, people.
Good evening.
I had one story about the road closure, but I have something that's even more important about Ferry Road. And we had discussed the last time about the stop sign where you stop on the red and go onto Route 18.
Right.
But also, the subject about sidewalks. Why is Ferry Road, some have sidewalks, and then it stops, and there's grass, and there's no lights there. It's very dark on that road. And I know that for a fact because my car broke down at Wawa, and I had to walk home from there to Mare Manor. And I had to go in between traffic, between sidewalk and grass, sidewalk and grass. It's not for my concerns, for the people from Costello complex, which use wheelchairs access, and they have to go the same way I would do. Why are the roads not all sidewalks there?
I don't know the answer to that
Why was it
question.
not
Mr.
finished
Marion
completely?
does, or anybody from administration?
Anybody know? I have an answer.
I have no idea.
As development occurs on those properties, the town requires them that they install sidewalks.
They're not, it's not though, it's not all sidewalk. It's sidewalk and then grass and then sidewalk and then some grass.
As I said, as the property is developed.
Right.
Continuous, I think when the Wawa went in, the town
No,
insisted
it's
they
not-
make the sidewalk go to the Dunkin' Donuts that occurred up the street.
It's on
so
Ferry
that they
Road
were
though,
connected.
all Ferry Road. From Route 9 to Route 18.
No development
So-
there either.
It's quite dangerous, actually. It's very dark, because I walked the whole thing, and I was like, I'm on the road, I'm off the road, I'm on the road, I'm on the sidewalk. So I just want to know if there's something you could look into to see.
Well, again,
if
to the
that can
mayor's
be done.
point, you only build sidewalks when there's a new construction, so we can't just,
But it's township property, isn't it? Ferry Road?
I don't believe all of, no.
Not?
No.
And just one more, I know you're only supposed to have one subject.
One agenda item.
Can I just say one little thing about the road closure again between Mare Manor and the hospital?
You could wait till the end. Just one item, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Yep. Great. Any more names? I'll close the public comment portion. We'll go to council member comments. Anybody from the council? Mrs. Walker?
Yeah, I just want to send my prayers and thoughts to the many families in Old Bridge that have lost their homes in the last few weeks. We've had quite a few structure fires in Old Bridge. And also, I want to thank all the volunteer firemen, first aid, and police for all the work they've done. Thank you.
Anybody else? Council member comments. Mr. Rosencrantz?
Sure, I want to acknowledge and congratulate Tyler Brown on being signed with the Wichita Wingnuts as a catcher. Tyler is the son of Bob and Ann Brown, and Bob is a retired Old Bridge police officer, so congratulations. And also, congratulations to R.J. Allen and his brother Brandon. Both of these young men are Old Bridge residents and play professional soccer. R.J. is with the New York City Football Club, and Brandon is with the Red Bulls organization. I know the parents are proud. B and Paul, congratulations.
Great. Any other council member comments? Mrs. Panos?
Go ahead, Joe. Said
Mr. Mollis? Sorry, I didn't see you.
Yeah, I was just wondering if I could address this to the mayor and.
Joe, why don't you pull your mic down? Pull your mic down so they can hear you.
Okay, I'll address it to the mayor and Mr. Marion.
I'll
I
try.
don't see Mr. Garrity here this evening, but what are we doing about the traffic in Lawrence Harbor now with the highway closures on the weekends?
Yeah, as everyone on that side of town knows, that the Parkway at night I believe, beginning Friday night into Sunday afternoon, the entrance to the Parkway is being closed from Route 9 to the Parkway. You have to go to 35 to get on it, and that's causing a tremendous backup on the Parkway. They reduced it to, I believe, 3 lanes northbound because they're rebuilding a bridge over one of the roads. I don't know if it's Bordentown or the next one up. And that has caused major tie-ups on the Parkway northbound. Residents and people traveling up the Parkway have got off in Lawrence Harbor to try to gain access to 35 north to circumvent the massive tie-up. I witnessed it a few times. We had an OEM meeting yesterday morning, and it was discussed, and we'll be coming up with a plan to contact Parkway to see how long this project is going to go on for, and if there's anything else they can do to avoid, I don't know if we can stop people from getting off the Parkway.
Yeah.
But our roads can't handle the volume.
But it's to the point now where we're going to need police or somebody down at that traffic light in Lawrence Harbor because it's really bad.
We'll be coming up with a plan over the next few days, Mr. Mollis.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Panos, you had your hand up?
Yes, well, 2 things. One, in addition to thanking the volunteer firemen and the emergency workers, I have to give a congratulations to the Ladies Auxiliary. I'm part of the Ladies Auxiliary in South Old Bridge where these fires happen. They're out there at 1 o'clock in the morning feeding the firemen, giving them coffee and drinks in the afternoon. I couldn't make every fire, but, I just wanted to give a hoorah to the Ladies Auxiliary who watch out for these guys also. And that was not good news in the last couple of weeks in Old Bridge. But 2 things happened that were very good news in the last couple of weeks. One, has anybody heard about the free Uber? When the mayor gave his proclamation about small businesses, I encourage people to shop small businesses in Old Bridge because this business alliance put up some money, and if you visit certain establishments in Old Bridge and you need a ride home from Uber, if you visit a certain establishment in Old Bridge and you get a ride home in Old Bridge, you call Uber and it's free. So that's the partnership that this administration and the economic development have formed with the businesses. I certainly want to give kudos for that because I know people who have used it already. They were just so happy. So please shop local. The other part, I don't know, it looks like this board's here if there's going to be a presentation made. Will there be a presentation? Oh, Alan put up, I should let him do it. These businesses in Old Bridge, this group, has been so giving to our community. It's like old-time Main Street, except we're 42 square miles. If you shop at certain stores in Old Bridge and you get a card, when you shop, you will get a percentage of your purchases towards your property tax. So you'll get a credit on your property taxes. If you're a renter, or even if you don't live in Old Bridge, and you use our businesses, the backbone, part of the backbone of this community, if you use our businesses and you're a renter, you're out of town, you're gonna get a check mailed to you. So please, shop Old Bridge for your own purposes, your tax credit or your check that you might get. Two, because these businesses help us. They help us save money and they help us save lives with the Uber program. So go online, check out these programs. They had a dinner a couple weeks ago, and Lieutenant Governor Kim Guadagno came down. She was so impressed with, one, the crowd that was there, and as she rode around Old Bridge with the mayor, she was just quite impressed on what the businesses are doing, and it's all to do with the Business Alliance, and let's keep those businesses busy. Thank you.
Anybody else, council member comments?
I guess the brainchild for Think Old Bridge is Steve Mamakis and Carmen sitting next to you. Would you like to say anything in addition to what Mrs. Panos had said? And by the way, those cards, you pick up one of those cards at a participating retail merchant, and I think Mr. Mamakis has some cards with him tonight.
Just so happens to have them.
So if anybody wants to participate, it's free membership, and it's money back for you. Why would you say no?
First, I want to thank the council. Actually, you played a big role in this, in making this happen. So it's good for our community, it's good for our residents. So what I'd like to do is I'd like to bring Carmine DeFalco up, who runs the company and manages the company that handles all of this, and he can explain it a little bit better and give you all the details on how our residents and renters can benefit from this. Carmine?
Thank you very much, Steve, and good evening. My name is Carmine DeFalco. I'm with ThinkCredit Inc. We manage the property tax reward program for Think Old Bridge and other 17 townships out there. But first of all, I want to congratulate all of you and the mayor and Steve for launching the program. We are very excited, and we think it's going to be great for the township. So basically, you get the card free because it was sponsored by Amboy Bank, by Excel, and by Ace Pharmacy. So these are free to the township. So you get your card, you register online with your block and lot, and then you go out and shop in town at local merchants, and you pay full price at the point of sale, you give them the rewards card. They swipe the card, and a percentage of the sale, whatever the merchant is registered with, will go back ultimately to your third quarter tax bill, the one that is due in August. So it's a great program. We have been very successful in other towns, and I know there's going to be great participation. The program starts May 1st. People already started registering the card. It's going to be on Facebook. It's going to be tomorrow morning. I'll be, in fact, at one of the senior communities to register those folks, because not everybody has a computer. So they're going to write down the information. We'll take it back to the office and register all those people. And again, I'm very excited. Thank you very much for giving us this opportunity, and thank you, Mayor.
Wait, how does the renter register if they don't have a lot and block?
Questions about renting.
Renters register the same way. If you go online to register the card, there is a little box you can opt to rent as a register. In that case, when you click that box, the block and lot goes away, and you can tap in your address, and that's how we track it.
And that's the same for out-of-towners who shop in our Old Bridge?
Same exact thing. They are renters, basically, because it has the same effect.
Okay,
so visitors can also participate. The idea is to keep people in town. Even if you don't live in town, at the end of the day, instead of going back home, spend your money in your town. That's the idea.
It's great.
So does
Great
Mr.
program.
Mamakis have enough cards for everybody in the audience or what?
Yeah, looks like it. I know it's been very successful in Marlboro. And other towns, and I'm really looking forward to the implementation. I think it's. I think once people start talking about this, I think we're going to get other merchants that kind of that come onto the program as well. And that we have a lot of merchants now, but I think we're going to get more as well. So it's a great program, Dr. Greenberg.
We have about 20 merchants. I think a town like yours should have at least 50 or 60, but we'll get there. It takes
absolutely.
time, obviously.
Yeah, Dr. Greenberg.
Okay, thank you.
Mrs. Walker.
I have the list right here, paperwork.
When you go online, there is to register, there's also a little tab that says participating merchants. And that's why they like it, because they get a lot of branding, they get a lot of things organized. So they have their own flag, which you can click and goes straight to their link, Facebook or whatever they want to register with. And then you have the participation and their offer, and if there are any exceptions to the offer. So we have great merchants already. We have about 20, and you recognize the name if you see them, so it's great.
Right, very good. Okay.
One last comment is basically you can get the cards at the mayor's office, the library, and the senior center, all participating merchants. So
Great.
that's where you get your
Great
cards, and we have
program.
a bunch here for everyone tonight.
Excellent.
Great.
Thank you, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Are you done with your council member comments, Mr. Rosencrantz? I am done. Okay. Any other council member comments? I'll close the council member comments portion. Do we have a report of the township clerk?
None tonight.
None at this time. Report of the attorney?
None at this time, Mr. President.
Okay. Mr. Marion, administrative report?
Thanks. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Wow. Thank you. Good evening, Mayor and Council. The administrative report for April 25th, 2016. Item number 1, the New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection Superstorm Sandy Blue Acres team began extending buyout offers to homeowners in Old Bridge in April of 2015. A total of 29 buyout offers have been extended to date. 24 out of the 29 offers have been accepted. Hard copies of the April 18th NJDEP Old Bridge buyout status summary report have been forwarded to the Township Clerk's office for distribution to council. We were supposed to meet also today with the folks from the Department of Treasury regarding the demolition process. That meeting will have to be rescheduled, but we'll be coming to council shortly with a report on that for the first bunch, I guess, of 12 or 13 homes that need to go through the demolition process. Item number 2, on April 14, 2016 and April 15, 2016, Tate Communications held on-site meetings with Intertech Associates and Old Bridge Police Department to finalize construction plans for the radio system infrastructure at 3 designated simulcast sites, and those are at East Greystone Road, Garden State Parkway, Exit 120, and Municipal Complex. AvTech Inc. also conducted a design workshop with our staff to customize user interface for in-house and remote dispatch consoles for the new upcoming radio communication system. Hard copies of an April 21st project status update report from Intertech Associates have been forwarded to the Township Clerk's office for distribution to council. Item number 3, under the Township Energy Savings Improvement Program, the contractor for ECM number 3, Library Roof Replacement, Roof Management, Inc., will schedule the final manufacturer's warranty inspection for the roof this week. Upon completion of the final inspection, a formal punch list will be issued to the contractor. Hard copies of an April 22nd project status report from Tozier DCO Energy have been forwarded to the Township Clerk's office also for distribution to council. Item 4, Fernandez Construction, Inc. Began the 2015 annual curb replacement program this week. The contract completion date is July 23rd, which is 90 calendar days from the commencement date. Item 5, on April 26th, the Old Bridge Police Department will be accepting applications for the upcoming Old Bridge Police Entrance Exam between 8 a.m. and 4 p.m. right here at the Municipal Administration Building. The application fee is $100, and it includes a study guide. They're only going to take the first 200 applicants only. Additional information is posted on our township website at oldbridge.com. Item 6, on April 26th, the Old Bridge Municipal Alliance will be hosting another community forum on prescription drugs, opiates, and heroin abuse. The event will begin at 7 p.m. in the Municipal Administration Building courtroom and feature keynote speaker Doug Collier from the New Jersey Office of the Attorney General. For more information about the forum, residents can contact our Municipal Alliance Coordinator, 732-721-5600, extension 4022. Item 7, on April 27th, Middlesex County Board of Chosen Freeholders are participating in Denim Day to bring awareness to the effects of sexual violence. County residents are encouraged to support this cause by wearing denim, and for additional information on this event, residents can contact Middlesex County Center for Empowerment, Sexual Violence Advocacy, and Prevention Education at 877-665-7273, and we'll post that information on our township website. Item number 8, on April 30th, Mayor Henry and volunteers from Boy Scout Troop 36, Mid-Madison Women's Club, Old Bridge Lightning Baseball, Old Bridge Soccer League, and St. Ambrose 8th grade graduation will be cleaning up Brunswick Road, East Greystone Road, Farrington Road, Pleasant Valley Road, and Sunset Road. And for additional information, residents can contact our Clean Communities Coordinator. Item 9, as a reminder, the 2013 homestead rebate will be applied to the second quarter tax payment due in May of 2016. Revised bills for qualified homeowners were mailed out during the first week in April, and for additional information, residents can contact our New Jersey Division of Taxation, 888-238-1233, or our office of our Township Tax Collector, 732-721-5600, extension 2999, also all posted on the website. Item 10, May is International Building Safety Month, and the Township of Old Bridge understands and recognizes the need for safe and sustainable structures where we live and work and play. The official International Code Council theme for 2016, Building Codes, Driving Growth Through Innovation, Resilience, and Safety. For additional information on Building Safety Month, residents can visit the ICC website at iccsafe.org, and we'll also post things up, and you'll see a resolution or proclamation in May with our code enforcement. Item 11, a reminder, Township Division of Tax Collection is open Monday through Friday between the hours of 8 a.m. and 5 p.m. during the second quarter tax collection period. The tax office will also be open between the hours of 9 a.m. and 1 p.m. on May 7th and between the hours of 8 a.m. and 7 p.m. on May 10th. For additional information, residents can contact our Division of Tax Collection. Item 12, on May 7th, the Township will be providing free tree seedlings to residents of Old Bridge between 10 a.m. and 1 p.m. right here at the Township Department of Public Works. The seedlings are bare root and range in size from 1 to 4 feet in length, depending on the species. The supply of free seedlings is limited and will be distributed on a first-come, first-served basis. For additional information, residents should contact our conservation officer. Item 13, another reminder, the 2016 Summer Recreation Program brochure is now available and includes another exciting lineup of classes, programs, events for residents of all ages. Online registration begins on May 10th, 2016, and that is posted up on the website where residents can link to those programs. Item 14, 2016 Memorial Day ceremony will be held on May 27th, be sponsored by the Mayor's Office. The ceremony is scheduled to begin at 10:30 a.m., and residents can contact the Mayor's Office for more information. And finally, because it's getting warm and people are getting ready for parades, May 30th, we're going to have be holding our annual Memorial Day Parade. The event begins at 9 a.m. For additional information about the events, residents can contact the Department of Parks and Recreation or visit the Township website if you're a vendor or a participant.
Thank you, Mr. Marion. Any questions, Mr. Marion, on his report? Mrs. Walker.
Regarding number 2, the public safety radio system?
Yes, ma'am.
I know you said we're going to have something sent to us, but could you give us an update when you think possibly it's going to be up and running?
Right now, I'm going to say in the fall. Right now, they have I know the report's pretty extensive. They're looking to order equipment. So I think by the time you get to the testing phase, you're probably going to be up around, I'm going to say fall, maybe implementation next year. But Sergeant Calvosa can speak to that. And he's not here tonight.
He's not here.
But I would suggest, Mrs. Walker, you have I've been copying counsel on all these reports. If you'd like, you can give me a call and I can have Sergeant Calvosa reach out to you.
I just think the public's interested in hearing,
That's why we try to put it in the report and we try to keep
Yeah, I
information
mean,
out
because
there.
it didn't specify when, because I know originally we thought October, then we extended to January, now we're back to the fall, so the sooner the
I'm going to
better.
be the second person on this radio communicating when it's ready to go.
Okay. I just wanted an update, thank you.
You got it, Mrs. Walker.
Questions for Mr. Marion, comments? Don't see any more. Can I have a motion to move the administrator's report, please?
I make a motion.
Moved by Mr. Rosencrantz.
Second.
Second by Mrs. Panos. Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg? Yes. Mr. Green? Yes. Mr. Mollis? Yes. Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohor? Yes. Mrs. Walker? Yes. President Cahill? Eight
Yes. Thank you, Mr. Marion.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda, we have items C1 through C11. Can I have a motion to introduce the balance, please?
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Panos. Second by Mr. Mollis. I'll go to the public first. Anybody want to be heard on items C1 through C11? I'll close the public portion. Do we have any separations from council? Dr. Greenberg.
Yes, I'd like to separate C1.
C1. Any other separations? Mrs. Walker.
C10?
10. Any other separations? Mrs. Sohar, you have your hand up? No? Oh, sorry. Any other separations? So just C1 and C10. Motion on the balance, please.
Move it.
Move the balance by Mrs. Panos. Second by Mr. Mollis. Roll call on the balance, please.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis? Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohor? Yes. Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes. C1, Dr. Greenberg.
Yes, previously we were doing the alternate route for hiring, and now we're going to have the exam. If we could have more information on how many police officers that we're looking to hire and why we changed going back to the exam instead of the alternate route, because I was told the alternate route, saved money with hiring. So if I can have an explanation on that?
I'll try my best.
Thank you.
Mayor?
The last three hiring processes, we went through the alternate route, and I believe it wasn't to save money at the time, was to get it done quicker because we were short manpower at the time. And we hired, I believe, 10 officers through the alternate route over the last 4 years. In discussion with the chief, we agreed that we should give a test. We haven't given a test in Old Bridge since, I believe, 2004, the chief informed me. And that's the more traditional way. Now that our squads, we're at full staff with our squads, we're not really short manpower. We are down a man. We felt that was the process to go through now to maybe open up the pool to a different pool of candidates. We had gone through the alternate route, like I said, 3 times. And the chief felt, and I concurred, that giving the test would now bring on some new candidates, and we'd be able to form a list from this test. So I believe it's good for 3 years. And then hiring, so we wouldn't have to go through any process for the next 3 years minimum. And we have 1 new position that was created in the budget. We have a vacancy, so a minimum of 2, and depending on what happens between now and the end of the year, if we should get the openings or through some type of retirement or other vacancy occur, we'd be able to fill that vacancy. And next year's budget, depending on what happens, we'd then be able to put additional, as the openings occur now, we'd be able to fill them off a list. And we felt this was the right thing to do.
Any other questions?
Okay, so once they take the test, then there's a procedure as far as with a physical exam and an interviewing process. And so you have standards for those already in place?
Yeah, the ordinance was written when we did the alternate route. We increased it. The new hiring standards were put in place. The same college degree, military experience, those are still the same. You have to pass the written test to be able to take the physical test. I believe you have to score an 80 on the written. You have to score an 80 on the physical, and then you, based on the scores, then will be interviewed.
So basically, you're having a test, and you think we need 1 more policeman now, and then there's a vacancy, so 2 policemen now.
Minimum of 2.
Minimum of 2. Okay. Thank you.
Any other questions on C1?
I just wanted some clarification. That's minimum 2 for the first year. This test is open for 3 years.
That's correct.
This test is scheduled for introduction into the academy August 1st. So if something should happen between now and August 1st, it could be 3, it could be 4 people going into the academy in August.
And you don't have a glass ball to see next year and the year after. This is a 3-year thing that somebody could 5 people could retire in the next 3 years or next year. Okay, I just want to say that. And I'm glad you're having a test because some of these kids get out of college and they didn't have the opportunity to get a job yet. Or maybe they served in the military and they didn't have the opportunity to work for a police department for the alternate route. So I think that is a good segue to get some of those applicants in.
And it doesn't prevent anyone who's in the alternate route program from taking the test. If someone had put themselves through the academy, they can take the test.
Good. Any other questions on C1? Mr. Marion, you wanted to say something?
Just briefly, I think it's a good reminder for everybody. According to the notice for the police department entrance exam, must be a U.S. citizen between 18 and 34 years of age with a bachelor's degree or minimum of 60 credits, 2 years full-time civilian employment or 30 credits, and 2 years military experience, or 2 years active duty military service or serve in a, quote, combat zone. And so that's going to be that's the criteria that's reflected in our ordinance.
Great. Any other comments on C1? I have a motion on C1, please.
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Panos.
Second.
Second by Mr. Green. Roll call, please, on C1.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis? Yes. Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohor? Yes. Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes.
Yes.
C10, Mrs. Walker.
Yes, I'm really bringing this up for information for the public at home because we just passed the consent agenda. A lot of times they don't know what we're talking about. This is about authorizing the purchase of synthetic ice is to be used at the ice arena. during off-season when the ice cannot be used. I just wanted to ask Mr. Babcock, since he's here, when do you think this ice will be able to be used? Do you think it'll be for this year?
Hopefully, we'll get a delivery sometime in early June. We'll leave it up through June, July, and August. We'll have to take it down about Labor Day because we start making the real ice probably the week after Labor Day. And I expect to use it for our summer playground program, our therapeutic recreation program, our daycare program. I also expect to put it on the website and sell ice time to surrounding communities to have their kids come and take field trips, because I think it'd be a great trip to be able to put on your skates and your bicycle helmet and come and skate in the shorts and a t-shirt. And the stuff is fantastic. I've skated on it. Actually, it's the second generation of what I had on here. About 2 years, we had a demo piece about 60 feet by 40, which is really small to head up any steam, but it's really a great product. It's endorsed by Hockey Canada and a lot of NHL teams and players, so it's a great product. We'll get a lot of use.
Thank you, Mr. Babcock. I'm very much in favor of this.
Anybody else want to discuss C10? Mrs. Sohar?
I just want to say that I'm very pleased that we're using this facility year-round again. It's something that people really enjoy and get a lot of use out of. And this is going to be nice for us as well. So I'm just glad we are doing something that's going to utilize it all year long.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Just one question. What do you anticipate the life expectancy of this synthetic ice to be? So it should pay for itself in that lifespan?
It's a very high density.
Thank you.
Anybody else on C10? Dr. Greenberg?
Just one other question. So the fee includes installing it also, and then do we have a contract to take it down and store it, or what happens? They can do that, okay.
Just like we did the court surface up on the Dyke Park.
Right.
My men did that with the expertise of one guy that came in as part of the contract, not extra, that supervised the crew.
Right, thanks.
Anybody else on C10? Mrs. Panos?
Yes, I just want to say I think it's a great idea also to encourage the kids to get out and have some activity in the summertime. You know, even at the camp, sometimes they just might be on their iPads or cell phones, but this is a good thing. It'll pay for itself, and it'll give the kids and adults some exercises.
We expect to have some, I think we're going to do a couple of crazy, like a Friday night luau skate, maybe once a month. We're not going to do it every Friday, but maybe once a month where we'll have date night.
Alcohol free, right, Mr. Babcock?
Skate with shorts. It's pretty nice to be able to do that in the warm weather.
Yes.
To invite the council.
Yeah, nice. Anybody else on C10 on the synthetic ice? I'll just close by saying, you know, Tom, on the rec board, we've talked about this a lot. You know, we would have wanted it obviously sooner, but I think that we did the due diligence. We got the right product. You know, we know we're going to get the good warranty. It's a superior product. All those endorsements actually speak to the quality of it. So glad it's here. We're going to bring in some revenue, and I think we'll get, to Mrs. Sohar's point, we'll get more year-round use out of that great arena we have. So it's terrific. So can I have a motion on C10, please?
Move it.
Moved by Mrs. Panos. Second. Second by Mr. Green. Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Mollis? Yes. Mrs. Panos?
Yes.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Yes.
Mrs. Sohor? Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
President Cahill?
Yes. Public comments on any subject matter. You want to say something? Yep, public comments, yep.
All right, I'll talk to you about the road closure again. I was here March 7th, and I was told that William, I can't say his last name, from the hospital was in touch with somebody from Mare Manor, but they weren't. She had no idea who I was talking about. Number two, the ambulances still do not have keys to unlock the chain. They don't, or they have them and they refuse to use them. I don't know what the problem is. And number three, somebody actually cut the chain. They cut they hacksawed the thing off, and it was laying on the ground, and the hospital had to go fix it. And it wasn't from our building, so somebody got very irate and decided they wanted to get through there. And ambulances have rode over the chain. I've seen them do it. I witnessed it twice already. So my question is, what is going on, and why has nothing been addressed, and why is the hospital not even trying to make attempts?
Mr. Marion, can we reach out to the hospital once again, or?
Well, a couple of things. I know in speaking to Mr. Garrity that all of the EMS vehicles are equipped with the keys to access that chain. I can't speak to what Mr. Sarno has seen or not seen. I'm not sure. In regards to the contact, I can certainly pass on the information to Mr. DeStancelo. I can't say the name either all the time. Mr. DeStancelo, I know that there's been some transition in the management at Mara Manor, so I'm not sure what the story is there, but it's a communication issue that needs to happen between the management company and the hospital. So as I could pass it along to the hospital and let them know. But in regards to the chain being cut, I was not aware of the chain being cut. And I know that the emergency vehicles have access.
Actually, the chain wasn't cut. It was the metal piece that was attached into the pole. It was actually hacksawed off.
Hacksawed off?
Yeah, they had to replace it. Yeah, so somebody doesn't like it. I don't know.
File a police report?
It wasn't from our building. I don't know who did it. We woke up the next morning, it was gone. The chain was down. So I have no idea. It wasn't us, though. I can tell you that.
I think, Mr. Sarno, just a recommendation, if you could report that to whoever's in your management company office and have them file a police report.
Yep.
I think that's important that you have some record of something. That way the police can look into that.
All right.
Thank
That
you.
was it. Thank you.
Anybody else from the public on any subject matter? Close the public portion. We're going to have a discussion item, a update from the Public Works Director. Mr. Carpenter.
Thank you, Council. Before I turn it over to Mr. Carpenter, I'd just like to make just an opening statement. The Department of Public Works, when I first became mayor, was certainly identified of a department that needed improvement, and I think we all agreed that. We had a fleet that was old, deteriorated, costly to maintain, and that fleet couldn't meet the needs of our community. I witnessed very little management skills in place when I came on as mayor. The best I can say, we had unorganized procedures. We were reactive, not proactive in our DPW. But what I can tell you, what we did have down there was a group of dedicated, committed, and hardworking individuals who wanted to improve their department. They wanted to make Old Bridge a better place. And the only thing that was missing down there in DPW was a person who could manage, who could lead by example, who could be respected, who could be fair and courageous all at the same time. And I can tell you, since we've hired Mr. Spencer Carpenter, that department, the DPW, has a new and efficient fleet. There are strong management skills in place. That department is probably one of the most organized departments we have. And that department, I can honestly say, is very proactive, if any council has had to deal with that department. So I'm here tonight to proudly introduce the person who turned that department around, single-handedly, with the support of the council and the administration, Mr. Spencer Carpenter. Spencer, take it away.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, everyone. For everybody at home, my name is Spencer Carpenter. I'm the Director of Public Works here in Old Bridge. I've been in this position since September of 2013. First and foremost, I'd like to thank you for giving me this opportunity to speak about my organization. Tonight, I'd like to speak about some changes I made under my tenure and some of the services that the Department of Public Works currently offers to the community. First, some changes we made to the organization under my tenure. We were open for business. For a period of time when I first started, DPW was not open to the residents. We've increased safety training for our frontline staff. We meet with our staff on a regular basis. I want their input, their opinions are important to me and the organization. We have online daily worksheets that are in a shared file. These worksheets tell each employee's job for that day, where the task is located, what vehicle that employee has been assigned to, and what foreman is overseeing that particular job. Ultimately, we're created accountability for each and every employee, including myself. We now do some jobs, tasks internally, and lowered the need for outside contractors. An example of this would be the lawn maintenance of town-owned properties / water retention areas. We were able to eliminate the contractor, do it all internally on straight time. There's no additional cost. We were able to save that. Also, our buildings department, who is doing an outstanding job, is able to do a number of things internally. They just did a plumbing job, which ordinarily would go out, but we were able to do it in-house. We've implemented a liquid brine treatment program for the salt and snow operations, and we're able to set up an interlocal agreement with East Brunswick. This way, we buy the material directly from them at a significantly lower cost. We have developed an internal service request form. This service request form lists the service requested by the resident, the location, details of the request, the date and time that the request was received, contact information from the resident, what staff member it was assigned to, and the date and time it was completed. The requests have been broken down into 8 different categories: litter, potholes, trees, asphalt repairs, Vector complaints, white goods, brush, and 8 would be basin and pipe repairs. We've also improved the recycling center. We now accept more types of recycling items and have made the recycling yard more customer-friendly by eliminating a number of ladders and installing lower and smaller containers. It's more resident-friendly and it's safer. We've developed a new snow plan. We broke the town from 2 large zones into 9 smaller zones. This enables smaller companies to bid on the zones and provide a more competitive bidding process. This also makes the process of monitoring the contractors a lot easier. We've improved the Department of Public Works Vehicle Maintenance Department. We began tracking costs for each individual vehicle. We began, for all new vehicles, a pre- and post-trip inspection form. Once again, accountability for using a township asset. We began replacing older, smaller vehicles with larger, multi-purpose vehicles. We went, for an example, using a Ford 250 and mixing cement in the back of it, which is very inefficient, to a Ford 550 switch and go. This allows us to be more efficient, carry more materials to job sites, carry more bulk salt during a snow event, and use the vehicle for more than one specific purpose. And we recently bought a new wireless lift system. Prior to this system, we were unable to lift and service all of our vehicles internally because they were a little too big. Now we're able to service all of our vehicles. We can lift them off the ground, and it's a truly mobile system, wireless system, so we can move them around throughout the auto shop, and it gives us a lot of versatility. Next, I would like to talk about services we now offer. Public Works is open Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. You can now come to Public Works to get a new recycling bin, ask questions about leaf pickup, get a street sweeping schedule, really anything you may need, we're available here to help. We take pride in providing a high level of service to the community. If our staff in the front office cannot answer a question, myself and/or a foreman will call you directly, and if need be, we'll meet the resident on site. You can call Public Works at 732-721-5600, extension 6149. For any recycling questions, please use extension 6107. And as always, you can contact me directly on my direct line at extension 7925. Also, our recycling yard is open Monday through Saturday from 7 a.m. to 3:30 p.m. Some of the current services that we offer now are metal recycling. We've introduced this. We accept all metal items such as lawnmowers, bicycles, lamps, workout equipment, Christmas lights. If it's made out of metal, I don't care what it is, we will take it. If you as a homeowner need assistance in getting that metal item from your home, please call Public Works. We will come and help you remove that item. We have even gone to a resident and picked up a flagpole. So We're really going above and beyond. We also accept motor oil. Each resident is allowed to bring up to 5 gallons of motor oil. Carpeting. Residents can bring household carpeting to the recycling center. Mattresses and box springs. You can drop off mattresses and box springs 6 days a week. Concrete, brick, and block. All the services I just spoke about are free to all the residents. They do not cost the township any money. They're all paid for with grant money, and the metal recycling program is ultimately a push. We actually get 5 cents a pound, so it doesn't cost anybody anything. We're actually making a little money. We also, as everybody knows, we offer curbside recycling. We recently went to single-stream recycling in regards to curbside pickup. Single-stream recycling now allows residents to put all the recycling in one container. They no longer have to separate cans and bottles from paper and cardboard. Also, anything that is picked up curbside can also be brought to the recycling center 6 days a week. We have programs available for the residents of Middlesex County that we want to make you aware of. Paint. Old Bridge accepts paint on the second Saturday of each month all year long at a recycling yard. The drop-off hours are from 7 a.m. to noon. We accept hazardous household waste. There are 5 events throughout the year in Middlesex County residents. Old Bridge will host one in July. Paper shredding. Old Bridge hosts the first paper shred event of the year. We just had one in March. No more than 5 boxes or 100 pounds per resident. Residents are allowed to go to any Middlesex County town that is sponsoring a paper shred throughout the year. A link to location and dates can be found on our website. We also do additional paper shreddings, predominantly for the Cheesequake Village seniors. So we'll do those, an additional 2, just specifically for that community. Tire recycling is available for Middlesex counties at various locations. A link to all locations can be found on our website, or you can call us at Public Works. By appointment services, we offer brush pickup. We pick up brush and branches in the spring, summer, and fall. Please have all your brush tied up. Our next scheduled pickup is Wednesday, May 4th. White goods and appliances. Appliances are picked up bi-weekly all year long. Our next scheduled pickup is April 27th. We also accept propane tanks. The only thing with propane tanks, please call and make an appointment with the Department of Public Works. We also offer seasonal services. We are currently doing a spring leaf pickup, and we also offer the pickup service for leaves in the fall as well. We are currently in Ward 5 and will be in Ward 6 starting April 28th. We offer Christmas tree recycling. Trees are picked up approximately 4 times every January by ward. Please check with us in December and January for a schedule. We also offer street sweeping services. We usually spend a week in each ward. We are currently in Ward 4. I'd also like to talk about our Clean Communities program, a program that I'm very proud of. Our Clean Community programs offer a $500 grants to volunteers and nonprofit organizations. To receive one of these grants, a group must sign up with our Recycling/Clean Communities coordinator and participate in one of our Mayor Henry's Clean Team events. At these events, groups go out into the Old Bridge community and remove litter from the sides of roadways and parks. If any resident is interested in participating in this, please contact Public Works. One additional note in our Clean Communities program, I'd like to recognize that our Clean Communities coordinator, Debbie Depew, will receive the Clean Communities Excellent in Education Award at this year's Clean Communities Conference. Moving forward, some projects that the DPW organization is working on and would like to achieve. We would like to become a sustainable bronze town. Information on this program can be found at www.sustainablejersey.com. You attain points and become a sustainable bronze town through action items. Example of action items would be creating a green team, buy local campaign, and adopting a green purchasing policy, just to name a few. I would like to improve the Department of Public Works and recycling websites. I'd like to develop and implement a marketing program to improve communications with the community on services that we offer. We are currently working on developing a relationship with the DEP for illegal dumping, for enforcement and prosecution. 5, we are working with the county to try to implement a free mulch and composting program for Old Bridge residents. The compost and mulch will soon be in bins at the Department of Public Works. And ultimately, I'd like to get to a point where we can expand the hours of the recycling center. I'd like to be able to keep the recycling center open a few nights a month just to make it a convenience factor, maybe 2 nights a month, we could keep it open to approximately 7:30. In closing, the Department of Public Works will continue to explore avenues to increase the level of services available to the residents of Old Bridge and always try to provide the highest level of service. I would like to take this opportunity to recognize my entire staff. We have a great staff in Public Works. I'd also like to recognize my 2 foremen, John Tooley and Casey Lenning, my administrative assistant, Barbara Grippy, and our recycling coordinator, Debbie Tapio. I am very, very proud, and I can't put it in words, how proud I am to be a part of this group and to lead this group. It is truly a team effort at DPW and is a big reason for the success we've had. I'd also like to take this time to thank Mayor Henry and Mr. Marion for their continued support through all the efforts that we try to do to make our organization a better organization and continuously grow as an organization and provide the highest level of service for the residents of Old Bridge. Thank you.
Good job, Spencer.
Just briefly, Council President, as the mayor indicated, I can't say I've been proud to work with Spencer and the employees from the Department of Public Works. 4 years ago, when we came into office, there definitely was a lot of areas that were in need of improvement, and I think Spencer has really come in there. He's a serious character, Captain Nervous, he calls himself sometimes, but he really is. The guys work hard. I think that Barbara and Debbie are excellent, customer service oriented. You can't say enough about them. I'm proud of our Public Works Department. This is one of the things we talked about with the mayor, was having our department heads come before council on a more regular basis to present some of the programs and initiatives, and also to better communicate to the public some of the great services that we do provide. And I think tonight is one of those things we'll showcase other departments in the next couple months. Mr. Reardon was here last month, and I think they're hot topics. So at this point, we'd like to open up for comments or questions from council, and then go from there.
Do you have any comments, questions? Mrs. Walker?
Yeah, Mr. Carpenter, we had spoken about this, I believe, last year. What are the odds of us getting more littering signs with a fine on it? I believe it's $1,000 because, as you know, Mrs. Sower and I, we had started that Mayor Henry's Clean Team, and we've been cleaning the roads up, and I just noticed every year they're getting worse and worse. Like, we'll clean a road up, and within 2 weeks, it's fully, and I thought this year the roads are the worst I've ever seen them, despite all our cleanups. So I thought maybe if we could have some signs at key roads that are really dirty, like, I know I live on Lamberson, it's an empty road because the farm is there, so people think no one could see them, so they come at night and they'll dump mattresses and furniture and things like that.
Part of what we're doing, and it's essential and why we didn't make any new signs, is that once we develop this relationship, and I don't foresee it not developing and becoming a partnership with the DEP, is when we make new signs, the fine now is $1,200. And what we'll be able to do is put the DEP logo on that sign as well. And part of when somebody does get caught, not only will they have to pay that $1,200 fine, when we're in conjunction with the DEP, they will put that offender's mugshot up on their DEP website. We are in the process of pricing out a camera. It's called Flash Cam. It's all can be paid for through grant money. It's very highly recommended. It's wireless, it's solar, and we can move it from location to location. And ideally, once we get that, I think the big step now is we're supposed to meet with the DEP, I think the second week in May with a representative. Art is an Old Bridge resident. I forgot Art's last name. But he's been great, and I just think that's going to be a big step. Nobody wants it more than I do because, unfortunately, at times it takes away from things that we can do to make the town ultimately better. But we have to take resources and time and money and manpower to go to those locations and pick up those couches and pick up those, this, that, and the other thing. So.
Yeah, I believe
But
if people start being enforced, I think maybe people think twice before they do it.
Yeah, I think once we develop this relationship with the DEP and we acquire this camera, I think, because this will give great evidence, it's going to be able to take pictures of the license plate, pictures of the car, picture of the individual pulling the item off of his vehicle. You know, it's going to give a lot of good information, prosecutable evidence that we can give to the police department.
Just one note, Mrs. Walker, one of the good things this NJDEP program brings into it, when we sat and talked, there were representatives from the police department there as well. So it really is not just the Public Works Department, there's a team effort that's taking to make sure that these people aren't illegal dumping. It just blows my mind to see certain things that you see of what people throw out and how they work and how they operate. But I think, as Spencer indicated, there are tools available now, and I think partnering with the state, and I think it was a pretty good meeting, that and did involve representatives from the police department and actually maybe even municipal court to be able to take this initiative forward. So we'll have somebody come from the state in the next couple of months to come present to council once we're up and running.
Thank you.
Any other comments about Mr. Carpenter's presentation? Mr. Mollis, I'll go down.
Yes, I have had numerous occasions to work with Spencer, and it's always a pleasure. He does a great job. He gets back to you. He calls you up. You know, he keeps you informed on what's going on. It's been a great experience. Thank you.
Mrs. Panos?
I appreciate the cleanups in the gullies along Pine Street and Oak Street. I haven't had usually you'd get a heavy rain and I'd get calls, you know, it's flooding my driveway, it's flooding this. I haven't had any in a couple of years, I have to say that. So good job on that. And then, could you just explain that composting thing again? I compost, and, you know, I'm north of 55 now. That turning over is getting rough.
Since we have a working relationship with the Middlesex County, we bring all our leaves there. A number of municipalities bring their leaves and their brush and organic material there. And what they do is they continuously turn it and make it into a mulch and a compost. So part of having a working relationship with them is that compost that they make is available for free. So ultimately, we just have to go pick it up, and we'll build 2 bins. And I don't know if you ever saw them. They're big concrete blocks. They're like gigantic Legos, and just build them. And we'll once we have that up, you know, residents can come. We'll just make some type of criteria so if somebody doesn't come in with a dump truck, you know, maybe, you know.
That's I like that.
That's good. Any other comments about Mrs. Sohar?
Yes, I also would like to say thank you, Spencer. Anytime I phoned you with an issue, and Lord knows when you're a ward council person, there's a lot of issues, you've always gotten back to me in a timely fashion. And I think it's great that you're reaching out to different entities and trying to work together to give us the best services possible. You really, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Rosencrantz?
Sure. You gave a litany of a list of everything that you and your department does. The resident, I can't thank you enough. I know every time I've gotten contact with you, whether it be snow removal, the owner of the property said, hey, the big boss came out and did the snow within an hour. Potholes, your team is there. Appliances and road signs. If a road sign is bent or down, you guys are always there. So thank you, and I'm sure the residents thank you on behalf of everybody. And your department.
Any other comments? Okay, so I'll just close it, Spencer. You know, I've talked about your team a lot. I think you do a terrific job. You know, you did, Councilman Rosencrantz's points, you did rattle off a ton of stuff, which is terrific. What I liked about your presentation was you could see the pride you had in the organization. You know, you have, to the mayor's point, you have instilled leadership, and you've really changed the processes, but you can see you really have a lot of pride about your team, and I hope some of them are watching and they understand what you said tonight, because I think it was all goodness. So great job. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I just have one more question. Last year, we were notified about the cleanups, and now this year, we're not being notified about them. Is there any way that we could be back in the loop?
Sure, absolutely. Mrs. Walker, what I'll do is, I think we were sending out complete listings. I know I've been putting them in the administrative report, but they're only like one ahead.
Right.
So I'll see if there's a master list we can distribute to council.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thank you, gentlemen. Appreciate it. Good job. Before we go into executive session, which we will not return from, does anybody have any council member comments? No? Okay, I'll close that piece. We're going to go into executive session, Mr. Roselli?
Thank you, Mr. President. There's two executive session resolutions, ES1, ES2. Purpose is going to executive session for affordable housing litigation update and collective bargaining agreement negotiation.
We need a motion to go into executive session, please.
I make a motion.
Moved by Mr. Rosencrantz, second by Mrs. Pownhouse. Roll call, please.
Dr. Greenberg? Mr. Green? Mr. Mollis?
Yes.
Mrs. Panos?
Get off dais.
Mr. Rosencrantz? Mrs. Sohor? Mrs. Walker?
Yes.
And President Cahill?
Yes.